So, David, we were just continuing from the conversation we were having a few moments ago. You know, you talked about a case study of Lamborghini where your team actually took assets and repurposed them in HTML5 to sort of create a really bespoke homepage, takeover. It sounds like as a publisher, you're having to do, kind of a bit of forward migration in the value chain, right? And do some of the heavy lifting to bring, advertisers and marketers on board and make them sort of feel comfortable to take risks.
Yeah, I think if we're honest with ourselves, there's a real disconnect between what's been happening in the agency world and the huge focus on the trading desks and the automated systems and the trafficking of third party. That whole ecosystem is completely divorced from these types of innovative advertising platforms and getting those up to scale. So we are having to do a little bit of that lift and bring people along. I think to pick up on one point that you were just making about kind of what are the things that need to happen and what do publishers need to do to help move this system along. I think we really need some kind of indication in an ad that when you click on it, you're going to stay within the format as opposed to clicking away. So I think about the Innovid solution or point roll solutions where we're trying to move all these assets into the flow, into the experience. I would love to see us come up with some kind of universal icon that says, if you click, thou shalt stay. As opposed to click off, and I think if.
But do you think like audiences have that level of awareness or sort of processing? Because the idea is that ideally, if it's an interactive video ad unit, it feels like content, looks like content, must be content, right? So
it's still an ad. It's still an ad, and people universally. Look to avoid ads wherever they can. They particularly look to avoid clicking on something that will take them somewhere else. And I think what we've seen with the iPad and with touch-enabled devices, that the more you can make the experience feel integrated, the more success you're going to have with people engaging with those ads, and that's going to beget more performance. Most of the ecosystem now, as it sits for digital advertising, it still remains in this high volume display advertising business that's fundamentally measured on some type of click-through, backed into a CPA or CPC kind of scenario. So what I'd like to see us, the more engaging the ads get, the more interesting the ads get, the more we should enable an experience where the ads become truly seamless within it. Lots of modal windows opening, lots of close buttons, everything that keeps you within the realm.
So when you're talking about that experience, pause for a minute, reflect back. At a point in time, were you talking about an experience that was in a browser, on a phone, a smartphone, on a tablet, and was it a 10-inch or was it a 7-inch tablet?
I think it could apply to all of these devices because they're still fundamentally set up for that click-through. I think about on the phone, they're the 300 by 50 banner ads that we try to get people to expand to do something. I think the ecosystem has to evolve more to full-page types of advertising, which get the video ingrained in it and that keep you within the flow of what users want. There's some. I was just looking at, and I have no interest in this company, but I was looking at a shopping service where you could just touch any piece of the content, and again it executed an overlay and it showed you where you could buy that content. It didn't click me off to someplace. Didn't click me off to Amazon. That I think is going to be the next breakthrough. Are the companies that are going to figure out how to signal to consumers that you can make that work and make the ads entertaining and engaging. And engagement, it doesn't have to be great creative. It can also be functional, right?
But do you really, when you deliver your campaigns now, I'm assuming, what percentage of your digital sales are platform agnostic?
Or platform, an increasingly amount. I don't know if I could give you a percentage, but I would say of the things that we're doing, we have a balance of what I would call high impact advertising that tends to be cross-platform is what I would call more than platform agnostic. Highly engaging, interactive with video and rich media. And then we have what we call transactional units. And those transactional units are the standard 300 by 600, 300 by 250s, and the types of inventory that runs throughout the mass ecosystem and the trading desk and all that kind of thing. In my opinion, what has to happen is that we need to move upstream to these cross-platform, high-impact ads being able to be sold at scale, traffic at scale, reported at scale, universal metrics. I know that's the big kahuna out there is how do we get one common data set. It's quite daunting. But if we could get the creative side at least into that ecosystem, I think we'd have a lot more success as an industry.
And Mitchell, what are your thoughts on platform and how important that is, right, on the device? And I ask this because this is something that I've been doing a lot of thinking about, right? There was a report that came out, I did a segment on it, that the click-through rates on interactive ad units on 10-inch tablets versus 7 was a 3 times multiple. So to Kevin's point yesterday, size does matter, right? So, how does that differ? It feels to me like to ignore that is short-sighted, and we have to make the audit, how users are interacting or predisposed to interact with technology a consideration when we're actually doing the campaign planning.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of schools of thought. Our player is responsive, so it shifts and morphs with every screen, and it just happens naturally. And then we allow our publishers to determine on each screen how they integrate it into their experience, just like we let them determine what the rewards are because they know their users the best. And so what you want to do is obviously customize and make it seamless. So smartphones are the most challenging, but also you have very high rates of click-through for whatever reason because it's more novel, I think. But that's likely to go away because we saw the same, those of us who've been in the industry long enough saw the same thing happen on the web. So the challenge is, as David was saying, you want to create experiences that flow and are part of someone's day. And our particular take on it is to sort of open it up and let somebody see the machinery behind it and let them be a part of it. Because when you empower someone, all of our data over years says that you get much better results.
Right. Tal, I know you have some thoughts on this, so why don't you bring it home?
So I'm very bullish on platforms. I think that if a marketer, let's say Best Buy, decide that their audience are watching Modern Family on ABC, or per Christina's point, manage to build an audience plan, completely doesn't matter if they watch it on a 7-screen, 10-inch screen, a 10-foot experience on a big screen TV or via Xbox or on a laptop. Clearly, the experience should be a little bit different because when I'm on my sofa, I have a different interaction method than with my iPad. But the message for Best Buy is go and buy, the new Apple laptop. On Best Buy, this is the message that the Best Buy want to deliver, and they know how to find their audience, and they couldn't care less about the different technologies and the size of the screen.